right, thank you, Preet. My name is Nick Peterson. I'm the 3D product owner for ExxonMobil. I am here today to talk about the digital reality ecosystem and how ExxonMobil is moving to a visual way of working. We are trying to enable what we are calling the Industrial Metaverse. Unlike Preet, I'm sorry that this is not going to be on one platform. We are going to be agnostic, and we are going to be using many platforms in this ecosystem. That is why we are calling it an ecosystem. We could even say a multiverse if you wanted to go that route. So, who knows what the Industrial Metaverse is? Raise your hand. 1, 2. Well, it's a good thing we have a definition. If I can click. There we go. So I was reading an article a couple weeks ago on LinkedIn by a company called Capgemini. It's a whole paper on the Industrial Metaverse. And I thought this quote really resonated with what we were trying to do. I'll read it and then we'll go through a couple of the items in here and get into a little bit more detail. But basically it says central to this, and they're talking about the Industrial Metaverse, is the next generation of digital twins, which will be interconnected, immersive, collaborative, persistent, and accessible from anywhere and on many devices. And that's going to be very key. First of all, I want to talk about what it says with next generation of digital twins. I don't know if we've gotten to the first level of digital twins, but the Industrial Metaverse will be the next generation. Everything will be interconnected, like it says. We will be linking our ERP systems, our integrity management systems, all of that 1D, 2D data, document repositories, project documentation, spec sheets, everything will be inside of these digital twins. It'll be immersive. We have a huge team in our immersive technology group that has been going down this route of enabling immersive collaboration. And that gets us to the next point. It has to be collaborative. We will be enabling this across the globe. So we will be having users in the Asia Pacific time zone collaborating with people in the US on a consistent basis. And so these tools that we have will need to be collaborative. And not only on the digital twin side, but also on the immersive side, where you can have multiple users in the same immersive environment learning from each other while they're doing a training or simulation. It needs to be persistent. We have to build this industrial metaverse with the knowledge that we will have to keep this up to date. We will have to integrate it into our management of change platforms. We will be integrating it with our operations integrity management systems to ensure that we keep these digital twins up to date. And then it needs to be accessible from anywhere and on many devices. Like Preet mentioned, there are many different devices, even from the augmented reality side. But if you start talking about virtual reality, or whether a user just wants to use their phone or a tablet, they should be able to. But that does not mean that it's going to be on one platform. It could be on many platforms, depending on the devices that they use. So how are we going to build this? Oh, here we go. So, and I'll read this definition to you. But basically, the digital reality ecosystem is the convergence of AI and machine learning, advanced human-computer interaction through extended reality and 3D, which is enabling fully digitized, connected fleet of assets. And that is a mouthful. What we are really trying to do is enable an ecosystem of digital twins at scale. Like the previous definition of what the industrial metaverse is, this digital reality ecosystem will be a multiple product solution system. And so when we get, how are we going to do it? When we look down there at the bottom left, you have 4 main pillars. You have capture, store, deliver, and consume. And what we are trying to do is democratize capture. The reality capture has become cheaper and the technology has gotten more seamless to where we can get reality capture to the end users very quickly. Then we are going to store that data in a central repository so that we can serve it up to anyone on any of the devices on the consumption side. While we are doing that, we are going to be integrating it with the 1D and 2D data, like I mentioned previously. And then you're going to have that digital thread back to the central storage location so that we can keep that data up to date no matter which system that we use. When you look over there on the right-hand side in the Venn diagram, we've really been focusing on the 3D asset visualization side. Last year, we rolled out applications that will help us see the laser scans and reality capture in a seamless way. And what we are doing this year is focusing more on the data integration side to the bottom where our ERP 1D and 2D data live. So to get a little background on what the journey has been, like I mentioned before, our immersive technology team has been going down this route for a while. First of all, it started with just the idea that they wanted to save lives, which is a goal for all of us, as it should be. Then they started to say, let me see my 3D CAD model inside of these immersive environments. And then they got into, show me my CAD model plus my data. And so then he started getting into pseudo digital twin environments inside of immersive collaboration environments. And then we got into the 3D model in the field, which ties into a little bit more on augmented reality, which I'll show you in the next slide, as well as an automated site training program called P4P, which was in collaboration with Unity. And that got us into the 3D model lifecycle. There is a user group called FL3DMS, which is trying to set some standards around 3D that we are a part of. And eventually this will get us to the digital reality ecosystem, which is the North Star. You can call it the Industrial Metaverse or multiverse if you want to. So I just wanted to, like Preet, I Googled Metaverse as well. I wanted to leave these up here, these quotes from some famous people, maybe not in our oil and gas industry, but they all have one common theme, and that is 3D spatial locations. We really believe that the foundation of this industrial metaverse is going to hinge on everything having 3D spatial locations. We call it space and time. I need to know where these assets are, and I need to know, is this the latest and greatest data that I'm looking at it? For those 3D spatial locations, takes us to augmented reality. Augmented reality, like Preet said, you still need to anchor those CAD models and that data out there in the field. I think eventually you will be able to take your phone out there and just like Waze or Google tracks where you are and knows what's around you in terms of restaurants or hotels, the same thing's going to happen out there in the plant. You will be able to take your phone out there, look through an augmented reality device, whether it's a tablet or a headset, and you will be able to see all of your assets, your performance data, your thickness monitoring locations for inspection. You will be able to do simulations and trainings directly out there in the field. So this is a specific example to a construction progress tracking where we overlaid the CAD model directly over the real world using spatial anchors, QR codes out there on the site. Some other areas that we're going to get into, like I mentioned, the thickness measurement locations. I don't want to create inspection isometric drawings anymore. We should not have to do that in this day and age whenever we can tag all of our assets in 3D, look at it on a device, and see exactly where it is in the field. So that is where we're going to get to. There's a lot of other use cases in terms of equipment lineups, finding blind locations, lockout, tagout, all of those others. So key takeaways. The foundation of this ecosystem in the industrial metaverse will be in 3D. not necessarily in a 3D CAD model or a 3D reality capture, but the underlying assets in those systems will have a geospatial coordinate system so that we can interop them between the different platforms. Reality capture, like I mentioned, is quickly becoming the scalable form of 3D contextualization. The technology has really grown in the past couple of years, and it is going to continue to grow in the next couple of years. The underpinning data to these systems has to be agnostic. We cannot stick our data in a monolithic stack and have it stay there forever. So we are moving to a more visual way of working. Happy to answer your questions during the panel. Thank you very much.